a TV show that you've loved for so long, that you've become so emotionally invested with, and seeing it slowly decline, truly a first world problem tragedy. For me, that show is American Horror Story. When American Horror Story premiered back in 2011, from the first image, the first trailer, the first anything, I was hooked so hard I couldn't gasp for air. The first season, which became belovedly known as Murder House, quickly caught the imagination of millions of people, and it quickly became a fan favorite on TV. There were accolades, there was recognition, and the following season, Asylum, grew even more popular and received even more recognition. And then, after that, came the fan favorite, which I personally have mixed feelings on, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Coven. It's fabulous. It is so beyond gay. That's kind of hilarious. What's happening? Just everything was just glamorous, had a very nice dark sense of humor. It was a nice change of pace from the previous 2 seasons of Horror Story. But after that, things started to change. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Freak Show. I love Twisty, including that super weird lucid dream I had where we were both raiding the casinos like bodega cats, and then for whatever reason we were riding a roller coaster themed after Disney's Frozen. Let it go, let it go. But besides that, I quickly noticed that this TV show that was so focused on horror became less and less horror-oriented. It kind of became this different thing that I kind of personally have mixed feelings about. The show just became different. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it like I used to. It was this weird thing from like, oh my god, when's the next American Horror Story episode coming to? Oh, hey, it's September, October, Halloween kind of pumpkin spice latte season. That means American Horror Story is back. Yay! But seriously, American Horror Story's always kind of done this sort of thing where, like, oh, it's like intense, and then the last couple episodes, everything kind of craps out. And then you keep saying, oh, next season will be different. Oh, I'm sure they'll fix all these problems next season. But deep down in your heart, you know that it's not. So, despite everything I said, I still really kind of like the show, but I don't know why. It's this weird kind of mix of apathy and confusion and sexual frustration and a bunch of other awkward things that we're not gonna really elaborate on. But yeah, still, despite American Horror Story supposedly falling from grace and ratings, why are so many people, including myself, still attracted to it? Even though the last few seasons, especially Hotel, which we'll talk about later, are kind of a glamorous dumpster fire. So, I'm gonna answer that question for you. Why are we still attracted to this weird, sexy, awkward show? And the way I figured to best deal with that is going through the 5 stages of grief and kind of breaking down what the problems are and what kind of solutions there are so we can finally enjoy our weird, gay, fabulous bloodbath in peace. Back when American Horror Story premiered in October 2011, it quickly garnered a huge following. Due to an increasingly growing fan base, American Horror Story was quickly renewed for a 2nd season. Fans were excited for the announcement, but were somewhat confused. The ending of Murder House seemed like a definite ending. Well, except for that end scene. But we'll get back to you later, little nugget. So, how can you continue something that was already concluded? But Ryan Murphy had a plan. We would not be returning to Murder House. We would be going to an entire new haunting with new characters. What you saw in the season finale was the end of the Harmon House. The 2nd season of the show will be a brand new home or building to haunt. Just like this year, every season of this show will have a beginning, middle, and end. The 2nd season won't be in LA. It will obviously be in America, but in a completely different locale.
In a way, Ryan's decision to make the show an anthology was brilliant. In theory, the storylines would never get stale, and if a season didn't get as great of a reception, it would just be rebooted the next season.
Also, it was a really unique idea at the time, as the two last major adult-oriented anthology horror series were Tales from the Crypt and the short-lived 80s revival of The Twilight Zone.
There were horror anthology series for children like Goosebumps, Who's Afraid of the Dark, and R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour, but there really hadn't been any horror-oriented anthology series geared towards adults in well over a decade. So, in a way, it made a lot of sense from both a business and creative perspective to format American Horror Story in that way to make it stand out in the crowd. Ryan's gamble paid off as Asylum's ratings stayed about the same level as season 1, thus avoiding the sophomore slump, but actually some of the episodes were even higher than some of the highest rated episodes in season 1. And this was pretty much the trend for the next 2.5 seasons. After episode 7 of Freak Show, something interesting happened. The ratings dramatically dropped after that episode. Part of me thinks that it was a backlash for the horrific on-screen death of Ma Petite after an episode previously teased an equally horrific death. I mean, I know that it was needed for plot reasons, but for some people, it might have been a line that was crossed. When ratings bounced back the next season, I figured, well, it must have just been that and everything was bueno now. Except the following episodes had an even more dramatic drop-off, and the ratings would continue to steadily decline like that over the next several years.
There aren't any bad seasons of American Horror Story, at least when you're talking about the first 4 seasons, but there's definitely some seasons I favor more over others, whether it's for personal reasons or I thought some things worked better in some seasons and other seasons I thought were lacking. Regardless, I don't think any of them were bad per se, but after season 4, something happened. It wasn't Jessica Lange leaving, no, I don't think that's it. I just can't quite put my finger on what was different. What changed American Horror Story? I don't know. It's something, and I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue.
You used to call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love.
Are you serious? Oh God! Why? Why would you do that? Oh God! Oh, what? Dead memes! Oh God! Make it stop! Oh God! Okay, so I imagine you're losing a couple brain cells here. Oh, if you thought that was something, then oh boy, you haven't seen anything yet!
You used to call me on my cell phone.
What? Oh God, my sight! American Horror Story Hotel. There simply aren't enough words in any language whatsoever to describe how much I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. The thing that makes me loathe American Horror Story Hotel the most is it had all of the elements to work. I mean, come on, Lady Gaga as a vampire in a haunted hotel? How can that possibly be boring? How? I mean, God. I mean, they even went with the super old school version of vampires from pre-Bram Stoker's Dracula, and a lot of elements from Carmilla with the sexuality of all of it. Like, that was a really good concept to go by instead of going all Hollywood vampire, and they do nothing with this concept. American Horror Story Hotel is a mess. Not even a hot mess. It is just a complete garbage heap of mess and despair. Where the other seasons of American Horror Story at least had some sort of basic plot line, even if it got kind of muddled along the way, like Murder House was, a strange family moves into a house with ghosts. Asylum, 2 people are being chased by a crazed serial killer. Coven, 2 groups of witches fight for supremacy. I mean, okay, I'll kind of admit this. Freak Show kind of gets a little bit muddled too, but at least, kind of by like the third or fourth episode, it's kind of evident that Dandy Mott is the main villain of the season. But seriously, what even is the point of Hotel? I'm like, okay, we got vampires, but it's a story about a dad who lost his kid, and now his son apparently is a vampire, and he was turned into a vampire by the lady vampire because she lost her kid that she tried to get aborted, who may or may not be a vampire. And her husband is a serial killer, but he's a ghost, and he runs a hotel. But then, the dad was the new serial killer the whole time. Gasp! Seriously, what? Like what? What is the focus? Is it the dad? Is it Lady Gaga? Is it Evan Peters? Who is the main character? I just, God, why? Just Jesus Christ, make it stop. God. Why, Ryan Murphy? Why?
Hotel just feels like a really bad fanfic that you wrote in middle school when you were like 12, 13 years old, where you tried to self-insert your own original characters, and since you were 12 and 13 and a moron, you just borrowed plot elements from the show and then added random things to make it special. Let's see what elements from Hotel that it rips off from other seasons of American Horror Story. Haunted residence. Check. Serial killer. Check. Witches. Check. Seriously, what? Why? She did not deserve that. That's just mean. Also, let's acknowledge the fact that Lady Gaga's Elizabeth is basically Nora Montgomery if she was a vampire, but somehow far less interesting. I could seriously go on about all the blatant ripoffs that Hotel does from other seasons of American Horror Story, but I'd be here till next year, and frankly, I don't think anyone else is interested in that, as well as the rest of Hotel. Okay, now to be fair, I don't think anyone was expecting too much of Hotel. It was always going to be a transitional season, and there was always going to be sort of this drop-off since Jessica Lange had left the show. I don't think anyone was expecting Lady Gaga to be Jessica Lange, but at least, that was an interesting choice. But the thing that kind of upsets me about it is they went out of their way to, say, hey, Lady Gaga's gonna be an American Horror Story. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that special? Isn't that unique? And then she's hardly in there. I don't know if it's whether or not the producers weren't sure if she could actually act, and they were trying to write around the fact that she may or may not be able to act, and then it turns out she can act. Whoops. So then you have this confusing plotline of biblical-based serial killings, but it's a story about family and friends, and also for some reason people from Glee are here. Cool, I guess? But seriously, it's just such a hot mess. And honestly, like I said earlier, I truly think this is what killed the original run of American Horror Story. It wasn't even so much that Jessica Lange was gone. It was stuff like frickin' Hotline Bling and a serious scene. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Look at that. I can't take any of those characters seriously. Look at their faces. Why? I don't know if they're trying to be ironic, but American Horror Story was never this reactive to the memes. American Horror Story, before this point, used to create the memes. And having this show that's more reactionary instead of being provocative, it's a really sad state of affairs, and showed how much American Horror Story had really fallen by this point. Fortunately for everyone, at least in my opinion, this was rock bottom. So once you hit rock bottom, the only thing you can do is look up.
When any television show is on years and years and years, eventually you kind of get to the point where they either jump the shark or completely run out of steam. American Horror Story was at this crossroad. We did Haunted House, Insane Asylum, we did Witches and Bitches, we did Six Flags Great Adventure Holiday Horror Nights, and we did Hotel. Why'd you do this to me, Ryan? I thought we had something. Why you do this to me, Ryan? Why? It was already announced previously that season 6 was definitely going to be a thing. However, when it came to the normal time around like January and February, where we kind of get an idea of what the next season of American Horror Story is going to be, there was nothing. Then a few months had passed, still nothing, which was extremely weird. And then the scheduled premiere date got closer and closer, and still nothing. And then we kind of got vague, cryptic hints that were kind of weird and spooky and still not really telling us anything. And then the night of the premiere happened, and we got this.
Oh my god! 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 Oh Jesus, Sydney! I think he's dead. You think?
Alright, so this might be an unpopular opinion, but honestly, I think Roanoke is the best season of American Horror Story post Jessica Lange leaving the show. I mean, is Roanoke a perfect show? No, it definitely has a lot of problems, but it did something that American Horror Story wasn't for a very long time. It was scary. And honestly, I kind of thought the idea of having a show within a show was a good idea. Not to be a script doctor or anything.
But honestly, I think Roanoke might have been a lot better received. Maybe if they cut down the My Roanoke Nightmare portions of the show by like an episode or two. I mean, honestly, this was the kind of season it really didn't need to be as long as it usually is. It dragged on a little bit longer than it should have. I mean, as awesome as the back half of that season is, I mean, they could have cut down the cannibalism episode by one. I mean, as great as it was, there was some fat that could have been trimmed down. But, you know, that's just my opinion. It's not like I'm a scriptwriter or anything. If someone would hire me, though.
Also, I think they could have made more of an effort to try to keep it all in universe like they were in the first half of the show with My Roanoke Nightmare, but then you suddenly get this interjection where, oh hey, suddenly we're at Paley Fest, they're announcing the show, but then we get a time skip saying, everyone but one person is dead. Guess who it is? I mean, to me that just kind of comes off as lazy writing. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be a mystery, but you already told me how the show ended, so, I guess we get to play Clue and figure out who the mystery survivor is? Okay, sure. As many nitpicks and complaints as I have about this season, I still really enjoy it. First of all, it actually told an American Horror Story about the Roanoke colony. Sure, the version of the show is not remotely close to probably what happened, which is probably far less exciting in that, you know, they all died of disease and kind of whoever survived wandered off, but that's not really that great of a story. I mean, that's kind of typical, you know, early colonialization in America. It's not really riveting television, if you know what I mean.
Roanoke might have been a mixed bag, but overall, I feel like American Horror Story is finally heading back in the right direction. Oh boy, I wonder what next season's gonna be about. Oh. Oh no. Oh no!
You son of a... That's it! I am flipping the table! The table is flipped! Why? Seriously, why?
This season. Is this the worst season? No. Do I enjoy this season? Oh god, no! Well, except for Evan Peters. I mean, seriously, that performance is godly. How did you not win? That is a true horror story, is how Evan Peters did not win for that. I mean, how many goddamn characters does he have to do? Other than Peters, 95% of the season can go right in the trash. The thing that annoys me about Cult isn't so much that they used the 2016 election as a theme, but it's the fact that they barely mentioned it past the first 3 episodes. Look, if you're gonna use Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton as these boogeymen, then goddamn use them! Cult uses the controversy of the 2016 election as a prop, without discussing the deeper psychological reasons, and Russian hacking, don't at me, that all led to a sentient can of spray tan being elected president of the goddamn United States. American Horror Story unapologetically went the ripped from the headlines approach. I mean, at this point, you might as well call it Law and Order Glitter Bomb. It's beyond lazy. American Horror Story had truly lost its way.
You maniac! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
What is this?
You are going to die in there.
What's this? What's this? The katana must be somewhere. What's this? Hey, look! Moira's doing something over there. What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. American Horror Story somehow doesn't suck. What's this?
Okay, before we go any further, we're about to hit major spoiler territory. So if you haven't caught up with the latest season of American Horror Story, just be warned, you will get spoiled. And if you just don't care, well, I guess let's go. The 8th season of American Horror Story, also known as Apocalypse, has been, in my opinion, the one closest in tone to the first 2 seasons of the show. Part of that might be because we finally get to return to where it all began, Murder House. Although the crossover with Murder House has been a constant story point throughout the season, this is the first time in a couple years that we've actually returned to the infamous Hellmouth itself. We finally return to Murder House proper in episode 6, which is appropriately titled Return to Murder House. And honestly, the return to Murder House does not disappoint. In fact, I think this episode goes way above and beyond what it needed to be. The episode directly follows the previous one because that's how stories work, I guess. Maybe. Anyway, in order to investigate the new leader of the Witches and Warlocks, Michael Langdon, played by Cody Fern, Madison and Behold, played by Emma Roberts and Billy Porter, by the infamous house in order to question those who knew Michael growing up and see if Cordelia's suspicions of Michael being evil are indeed correct. The show wastes no time in bringing us back to the more simpler times of 2011, where the most pressing concern of our generation was trying to avoid the rampant airplay of LMFAO's party rock anthem.
Every day I'm shuffling.
After performing a summoning spell, we quickly reunite with our resident ghostly D-bags, Ben Harmon, played by Dylan McDermott, and Tate Langdon, played by Evan Peters. Despite the bittersweet ending of season 1, Ben has somehow brought about another nuclear winter to his marriage, and Tate hasn't done much better with Violet, giving him the cold shoulder for several years. I mean, not that I blame her, I probably could have done the same thing. However, their couple's therapy session is interrupted by Madison and Behold, who demand to know who Michael is. Commotion ensues, which summons...
We're the new owners. Who are you?
I'm Constance Langdon, and this is my house.
Woo! Yes, queen!
After a nearly 4-year hiatus, Jessica Lange has finally returned to American Horror Story, reprising her role, which is also my personal favorite character of hers, Constance Langdon. We quickly discover that Constance has, in fact, become a permanent resident of Murder House, after retiring from the mortal world. I'm sorry, that joke was terrible. However, Constance doesn't really seem to be that bothered being dead, with the small caveat that she has to deal with Moira for all of eternity. Funny how life works like that sometimes. Alright, so just a quick little interjection here, but honestly, Moira is the most underrated character in Murder House. She is one of, if not the best character in Season 1. She is the embodiment of the core themes of Season 1. She teaches Ben that women are not to be treated like sex objects. She was a lost child, and she becomes a sort of mother figure herself to others that are lost. She is a victim of circumstance.
#Moira did nothing wrong!
So our witches are tasked with purging Moira from the house in order for Constance to spill the beans. The pair start digging up the yard to find Moira's remains. This is the part that, honestly, I never expected in a million years to happen, but I'm so glad that it did. Moira's remains are found, and now she can finally be free of her decades-long hell. Sure, the preset universe mechanics of if you die in murder house, even if your body is moved, are completely ignored, but when have rules and silly things like continuity and plot consistency ever matter in American Horror Story? Ha 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 ha, you fools. Moira finally gets her much-deserved happy ending, finally reuniting with her mother, and presumably finally going to heaven. After that bittersweet moment, sorry, got a little something in my eye, Constance holds up her end of the deal and tells the pair about Michael. Michael is, to the absolute surprise of no one, confirmed to be not just a garden variety serial killer. Oh, no. He is, in fact, the Antichrist. Ben and Vivian further hit this point home, that despite everyone's best efforts, they couldn't stop Michael from becoming the evil little nugget that he is. A very hot preschool-age nugget. Ugh. I feel really illegal and gross now. Gee, thanks, Ryan. This episode really reminded me of how grand and emotionally breathtaking American Horror Story can be. I haven't seen levels of this kind of storytelling since the end of Season 2. Early American Horror Story was haunting, bombastic, sexual, and most importantly, full of heart. I mean, don't get me wrong, the rest of the episode was pure fan service, which, it's fine, especially when it's done right, which, thankfully here it was. Sure, not all of it made sense, but it finally gave the fans a satisfying ending to our resident spirits. Sarah Paulson's direction was brilliant, and it really felt like the good old days of American Horror Story before the memes and all the other crap invaded. The only thing is, it doesn't fit. Sure, it was a great episode of television, and it was a perfect epilogue to Murder House, but in the current storyline, it simply doesn't fit. American Horror Story is hardly the same show that it was back when it premiered in 2011. American Horror Story now is a campy, fabulous dumpster fire. It isn't the Emmy Awards contending drama it was back in the early 2010s. Despite everything I've said, I don't think American Horror Story is a bad show. Well, except for Season 5. Seriously, Hotel can go die in a ditch. But it isn't a great show either. American Horror Story is, the best way I can describe it, televised junk food. You know it isn't healthy for you, but you can't deny that it's tasty. It's perfectly fine in small amounts, but don't expect a 5-star meal either. For me, American Horror Story has become a beloved yearly Halloween season tradition for me. This episode made me realize that the American Horror Story that I fell in love with is dead. It's been dead for a while now. But like Moira, it's passed on, but it will live on in the memories of all who have loved it. New American Horror Story doesn't have nearly the same level of storytelling, but it's still a roller coaster of fabulousness that I wholeheartedly recommend. It's pure fun, and honestly, that's the true legacy of American Horror Story. It isn't some pompous show created just for award season. It's a show for everyone, from all walks of life, to enjoy, make sassy live tweets, and just have a good time. It's a show that's alive and thriving.
Oh, for fuck! So, wait a sec. If Mallory goes back in time to a point where Constance is still alive, then that means... Oh, no. Damn it, Murphy! Well, it looks like I know what I gotta do. So long, my friends. I barely knew you. Well, now that's over, then let me go check on the time.
Guess who?
What was that?
Oh, hi there, Brianna.
Okay, first of all, it's Brianna. Why can't anyone say my name right? Also, for branding purposes, it's Crazy Lemurs.
All right then, fine. Crazy lemurs, fucking millennials. Anyway, I'm here because I think it's about time you met your old friends, Mikey and Jeffy. Oh!
Wait, what?
Hello, I'm Michael Eisner, head of the Walt Disney Company.
Oh, no, I ain't. No. No way, Jose. Denied. Beep, beep. No. Nah. No.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, lemurs. I'm really sorry, but you know, as the old saying goes, we all float down here. We all float down here. We all float down here.